Hello, my sweet friends. Welcome back to the Lantern Lit Hollow. Here, stories glow softly and help you drift off to sleep. So grab your favorite blanket, snuggle in nice and cozy, and when you're ready, we'll begin. This evening's tale comes to us from the early 1600s and was written by the very famous William Shakespeare. This one is called All's Well That Ends Well. Let us begin. I will tell you a story that I heard when I was a young child. Each time I recall the ending of the story, it seems to get better. In fact, there are some stories, like some people, they seem to get more beautiful as they grow older. Once there were two very old farms, each with thatched roofs covered with grass and moss, and each with a stork's nest on the roof. The walls leaned to the right and to the left. There were only 2 or 3 low windows, and all of them were stuck fast but one. The oven stuck out of the wall like a fat tummy. A honeysuckle grew out of the hedge, and under its branches was a duck pond. An old watchdog barked at everyone passing by. In one of these cottages lived an old couple, a farmer and his wife. They possessed almost nothing in the world except for a horse which ate grass from the ditches at the side of the road. The farmer always rode the horse when he went to the city. His neighbors often borrowed the horse, and in return, they helped the good man with all kinds of jobs. The old man, however, thought it would be better to get rid of the horse. He decided to sell it or exchange it for something that would be even more useful to them, whatever that may be.
"Something you appreciate more than anyone else does," said his wife. "Today there is a fair in the city. Go there with the horse. You will make a profit by selling it, or you can exchange it for something else. Anything you do is fine with me, so get ready to go."
She put a beautiful scarf around his neck, which she tied with a very stylish double knot. She smoothed out his hat with the palm of her hand and gave him a big kiss. Then he rode off into town on the horse to sell or exchange it.
"Yes, the old man knows what he is doing. He knows how to do business better than anyone else,"
thought his wife as she waved goodbye. The sun was blazing and there was not a cloud in the sky. The wind blew up the dust from the road along which all kinds of people hurried to get to the city, by cart, on horse, or on foot. They were all very hot, but there was no inn to be seen. Among these people was a man leading a cow to market. It was as beautiful as a cow could be. "She must give delicious milk," thought the farmer. "Now that would be a splendid exchange, that superb cow in return for my horse." The farmer called out to the man, "Hey, you there, the man with the cow, I have an offer for you. A horse, I know, costs much more than a cow, but that makes no difference to me. A cow will give me more profit than a horse. Would you like to exchange your cow for my horse?"
"I would be delighted,"
answered the man, and they exchanged their animals. Well, that had been taken care of, and the old farmer could have returned home because he had finished the business that he had set out to do. But because he had looked forward to seeing the fair, he decided to go to the city anyway. He continued the journey with his cow, and as he was walking briskly, it wasn't long before he joined up with another man leading a sheep of a rare breed with a thick woolly fleece. "Now there is a beautiful animal I would like to have," said the farmer to himself. "A sheep will find all the grass it needs along our hedges, and during the winter we can keep it in the house. That will be a nice distraction for my wife. A sheep will be better for us than a cow." The farmer then called out to the owner of the sheep. "Hello, friend, would you like to swap?" The man did not need to be asked twice. He rushed to take the cow and left the sheep behind. The old farmer continued his journey with the sheep. A little further on, he saw a man carrying a live goose under his arm. It was a fine, fat goose. A goose that you wouldn't find just anywhere. The old farmer admired it. "Now there you have a nice creature," he said, walking up behind the man. "That bird is extraordinary. So much fat, and such beautiful feathers." The farmer couldn't stop thinking about that goose. "If it lived in our house, I bet my dear wife would find a way of making it even fatter. We could give it all the leftovers. What a size it would get. I remember my wife saying often, 'Ah, if we had a goose, that would be so nice, together with all our ducks.' This is perhaps the chance to get one, and one that is worth two. Listen, my friend," he said. "Would you like to trade with me? You take my sheep and give me your goose in return. I ask for nothing more." This man did not have to be asked twice either, and the old farmer became the owner of the goose. By this time he was close to the city. The crowds became bigger. Men and animals hurried through the road. There were even people walking in the ditches along the field hedges. At the fair gate, everyone pushed to get in. The city's tax collector held up a chicken. Seeing such a crowd, he fastened the chicken on a string so that it could not get frightened and run away. She perched on the gate and ruffled her clipped wings. She winked with her eye like a mischievous animal and said, "Cluck, cluck." Was she thinking about something? I wouldn't know, but the farmer began to laugh as soon as he noticed her. "She is even more beautiful than the pastor's brood hen," he chuckled, "and she looks so funny. No one could look at her without bursting into laughter. Goodness, I would love to have her. A chicken is the easiest animal to keep. She doesn't have to be looked after. She would feed herself with grain and crumbs picked from the ground. I think that if I could exchange my goose for her, it would make an excellent deal." The farmer approached the tax collector. "Would you like to exchange?" he asked, showing him the goose.
"Exchange?" answered the man. "That would be perfect."
The tax collector accepted the goose and the old farmer took the chicken. The farmer had done quite a bit of business during the journey, and now he was very hot and tired. He needed something to drink and to eat, so he went to an inn. A boy was just leaving carrying a bag filled to the brim. "What are you carrying there?" asked the farmer.
"A bag of stunted apples that I am going to feed to the pigs,"
replied the boy. "What did you say? Stunted apples for the pigs? But that is a wasteful extravagance. My dear wife does great things with stunted apples. How happy she would be with all of those. Last year, our old apple tree next to the stables did not give a single fruit. We will place them in the cupboard and save them until they have ripened. That is a sign that one feels comfortable, my wife always says. What will she say if she has a bag full of apples? I would love to do her that favor."
"Well, what would you give me in return for the bag?"
asked the boy. "What I would give you? The chicken, of course. Isn't that enough?" said the farmer. They exchanged their goods straight away, and the farmer walked into the inn with his bag, which he carefully placed beside the stove. Then he had a drink. The stove was hot, but the farmer did not notice. There were so many people in the inn. Horse traders, cattlemen, and also 2 French travelers. The Frenchmen were so rich that their pockets were chock full of gold pieces. And oh, how they loved to bet, as you will see. Suddenly, the stove began to make a strange noise. It was the apples starting to cook.
"What is that?"
asked one of the Frenchmen.
Ah, my apples,
Said the farmer, and he told the Frenchman the story of the horse that he had traded for a cow, and so on until he was left with the apples.
"Ah, well, she will be furious, your missus, when you get home," they said.
Not at all, said the farmer. She will embrace me no matter what happens, and she will say, what the old man does is always right. All's well that ends well. You want to bet? Asked the Frenchman. We will bet all the gold you want, 100 pounds worth or 100 kilos. 1 satchel will be enough, replied the farmer. The only thing I can place as a bet in return is my bag of apples. I'd say that is a good exchange. What do you think, gentlemen?
"All right, that's good enough. We accept."
And so the bet was made. The 3 men borrowed the innkeeper's cart, climbed into it, and very soon they arrived at the little rustic farm. Good evening, my dear, said the farmer, entering the cottage.
"Good evening, my darling,"
replied his wife. I have exchanged the horse,
"Ah, you know how to do business,"
said the woman, and she embraced him without paying any attention to the bag of apples or the strangers. I exchanged the horse for a cow, said the farmer. Thank heavens, the good milk we will have, the butter and cheese. That is a wonderful exchange, cried his wife. Yes, but then I traded the cow for a sheep, continued the farmer. Well, that's even better, smiled his wife. We have enough grass to feed the sheep, and she will give us milk too. I love sheep cheese, and above all that, I will have wool which I can use to knit stockings and nice warm jackets. Oh, we wouldn't get all that from a cow. You think of everything. This is not the end yet, my dear. I exchanged this sheep for a goose. Well then, we will have a lovely roast goose for Christmas this year. My dear husband, you always think about what would please me the most. Well done. From now until Christmas, we will have time to make it nice and fat. I don't have this goose anymore. I have taken a chicken in return, continued the farmer. A chicken has its value, nodded his wife. A chicken lays eggs, she sits on them, and little chicks will hatch out that grow up, and soon we will have poultry, a real farmyard. That has always been my dream. I have the chicken no more, dear wife. I exchanged it for a bag of stunted apples, finished the farmer. Really? Is that true? Gasped his wife. But now I will kiss you, my dear husband. Do you want to hear what happened this morning? You had just left, and I began to think what I could make for you for dinner tonight. Eggs with butter and onions was the best I could think of. Well, I had the eggs and the butter, but I didn't have any onions. So I went to the school principal who grows them, and I talked to his wife. You know how mean she is, although she looks so sweet. I begged her to lend me a handful of onions. Lend, she exclaimed, but we don't have anything in our garden. No onions, not even any stunted apples. I am really sorry, my neighbor. So I came home again. Tomorrow I will offer her the stunted apples because she doesn't have any. I will offer her the whole bag. She will be so embarrassed. I'm looking forward to seeing her face already. She flung her arms around her husband's neck and gave him smacking kisses, almost as if she were kissing a child. Well, well, said the 2 Frenchmen. The fall in value has not changed her good mood for even a second. I think you have won your bet, my friend. They gave the farmer a satchel of gold. His wife was even more delighted with it after all that bargaining. and the man was suddenly richer than if he had sold his horse 10 times, at 30 times its value. That is the story that I was told when I was a small child, and it seems very sensible to me. Now you know it as well, and never forget, what the old man does is always right, and all's well that ends well. And that brings our story to an end, my sweet friends. Now it is time to turn the lantern down to a soft glow, snuggle with your favorite stuffy, and let yourself drift off to dreamland. Sleep sweet, my dear friends, and I'll be here when next you return to the Lantern Lit Hollow. Good night.